So my apologies, everyone. Good morning. My name is Catherine Elliott, and I'm a business coach for the Small Business Administration. Small Business Development Center in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And I'm assisted this morning by Jamie Morgan, who's one of our business coaches, and she specializes in digital marketing. Basically, our SBDC has a staff of retired executives and seasoned business professionals that provide free coaching services to small businesses in North Idaho. So this morning, just to let you know, our mission basically is to accelerate business success, and that's what we enjoy doing, and we work hard with our businesses to make this happen. So again, welcome to all of you, and I'm glad that you're here this morning. We are going to be covering hiring and retaining talent, and hopefully, actually, if you all know how to use the chat, could you just quick kind of let me know what business you're in and how many employees you generally hire? And I'll just watch for that real quick. We'll give you a couple seconds to do that. Jamie, is that something that you're seeing? You can hear me, yes?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It's always difficult when you feel like you're just talking to yourself.
I know. It does. So we had Valerie respond, and she said she works as an administrative coach with the University of Delaware.
Nice.
She coaches early childhood education. She's the owner admin, and is here to learn more about improved recruiting and retaining quality staff.
Okay, awesome. Welcome, Valerie. Anything else coming through?
Nothing else coming through.
Okay, I don't
but
see
if
any.
they do it later, I'll let you know.
Fingers typing. Okay, all right. So I'm going to do my best to make this session as interactive as possible.
Well, sorry, Catherine.
Oh, yes.
Sean responded to me directly.
Okay.
He's an electrical contractor and has between 4 to 6 employees.
Okay, awesome. All right, good to know. Okay, so this webinar has kind of been designed to outline the essential elements of hiring and retaining the best possible employees. And this, as we know, is a challenge for all businesses. Whether you're new, you're old, you're big, you're small. But the more prepared you are for the hiring process, the more consistent your results are going to be, and this will increase your competitive advantage. So, okay, let's begin. The purpose of this webinar is to help develop a process to hire winners, create an orientation and training plan. We're going to discuss providing clear performance expectations, and then finally how to retain those excellent employees. So we've all been there. You know, we hire an individual or several employees on the fly to cover short-term needs, and we don't really invest the time to make sure that we're bringing in the right people. So we continue to invest time and money after we hire them, only to find that the employee leaves within a few months. So what is the cost of hiring wrong? Can anyone guess how much it costs to hire the wrong entry-level employee? What do you think you spend in your time? Anybody, any responses on that? I can give you a guess, somewhere between 5 and 20,000. So no guesses, Jamie?
No guesses, but we did have a wow response, because I think even at 5,000, that's a huge amount of money.
Okay. So, and this is just for small businesses. An entry-level employee is going to cost you $7,000 to $10,000 to hire wrong. A manager-level employee is going to cost you $40,000. And then the cost can end up being more than 2 times their annual salary if you keep them, for a year and then have to turn it over after that. So I worked a lot of years with a manager in a call center that followed a hiring plan to get employees in the door, but not out. So you knew who would be successful and who wouldn't within those first 30 days. And I think most business owners know that. So in the summer, she would not let her underperformers go. And because it was a call center, so you have call volume coming in, so you need to have people, to answer those phones. However, these underperformers impacted the entire department. So those unhappy employees then came into my human resource office and complained about having to carry these employees. You know, they can show up late, they can be rude to customers, and she's not letting them go. So it really impacts your other employees. So complaining these or carrying these employees is not a good thing for any operation. So if you determine you've hired wrong, cut your losses as soon as possible because it only gets worse in time. So anyway, so there are dollar costs that come in, but there are also not so obvious expenses. So you can lose customers, you have inefficiencies, you know, the effect on other employees, you've spent time reviewing resumes, you've done additional record keeping. It goes on and on. Training time, intellectual property lost. So it really gets frustrating, I think, as a business owner to have to go through this repeatedly, and then for all of your employees. So when you have that frustration, I guess I always say, I don't know about you, but it really frustrates me personally if I have to do the same thing over and over repeatedly and I get bad results. So I know that I'm doing it to myself. So, and we've all heard Albert Einstein's famous line, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, yet we all do it. So why a hiring process? So hopefully to get rid of the insanity. So we'll start with that. A hiring process significantly increases your odds of hiring the right person the first time. So it creates consistency in your hiring decisions. Then you can easily determine if you're making the best decisions by the consistency of your results. So be open to changing and pivoting as needed because your first path is not always your best. So a process should reduce your cost of hiring and the cost of turnover by reducing the occurrence of it. And the bottom line is always limiting your liability as a business owner. All right, so an effective hiring process starts with clarifying the qualities needed for the ideal candidate. So they need to be, hopefully they all are, reliable, dedicated, confident, a team player, you know, good communication skills. How's their integrity? Are they self-aware? I mean, use Google to help you brainstorm the qualities that you're looking for. There's a ton of information online. So clarifying qualities in turn helps you identify, you know, a pool of qualified candidates. You'll need to include a candidate screening and selection process. And this may include phone screening. You could do skill-based testing, one-on-one interviewing with different managers, etc. So having your groundwork laid will improve the quality of the hire, and you are now doing intentional hiring, and intentional is key. So when, let's see, be proactive instead of reactive. That's really what we're trying to get to here. So again, one of the companies that I recently worked for, we had actually 2 large call centers. So one was in California and one was in Georgia. So our summer season and our winter season were our 2 spikes. So we knew that we would have a minimum of 30% increase in call volume in the summer. And then we need additional staff to be able to handle that volume, and they needed to be on the floor trained by June 1st. So we also knew that if we hire 48 people, we retain 35. So it ended up being kind of a numbers game, unfortunately. So we lose people at the end of new hire training as they couldn't pass an exam, and others, you know, a few weeks in for personal reasons, or the job wasn't what they expected or too stressful. So we knew that we could only effectively train 12 new hires at a time, and each training class lasted 2 weeks. So if you start doing the math, we were pretty much in trouble. So we had to start early. So we knew that our hiring process had to start at least 3 months in advance to fill the classes and have boots on the ground, you know, in time to be able to answer those calls. So sometimes we had to adjust our answer time going into the summer so that we could have boots on the ground coming in 2 week increments. No, I can say this to make sure that by June 1st, again, we were fully staffed. So hiring in a call center, it's a year-round process. So having a hiring process was imperative along with the annual hiring plan. So, and this should be done each fall to set your goal for the following year. If you haven't done a hiring plan in the past, I would definitely suggest that you look at doing one this year. So look at your past hiring, what's been done, what you're projected to do in the future, and then get that plan in place. All right, so an effective process is intentional. So you need to define your needs, focus on the right sources, and then do your interview. All right, so next, in defining your needs, why do you need this position filled? And when do you need the position filled by? You know, how long do you need that position? Is it replacing an existing position? Is it seasonal help? Is it for growth or expansion? And then what is the benefit to the business? Is the position helping to create better infrastructure that supports intended growth? Is the position serving seasonal customers? And then how do you find the right person for this role? And what other options do you have? Do you have employees that you can move around to cover, or do you literally have to hire somebody new? All right, then what will your employees do? What are their responsibilities and roles? What results are expected of them? What's the nature and scope of the job? And what pay applies for the position? You need to have all of this outlined to help in your hiring plan. So just a sec on pay. Pay is important and extremely personal. Having a clear pay structure for all of your positions will save you endless headaches. I cannot stress that enough. Employees talk about pay. Be transparent and open with your pay structure, and that will help alleviate issues surrounding pay. So, and I may repeat that a few more times. Like as many pay issues that I've dealt with over the years, it helps to have it very, very clear. So now, what qualifications do they need? You know, how much experience, what knowledge and skill set? Is there a required education for the position? Do they need a high school diploma, a college degree, a technical certification? You know, make sure you put some thought into that. And then next, what soft skills would be a good fit for your company? And this is soft skills in quotes, because we're looking at values. You know, do you follow a certain set of values for your mission? You know, what personalities work well with your existing employees? And what else is important in your culture to fit in? So, and if you're not happy with your culture, what types of new employees can you bring in to improve your culture? So your employees create your culture. And since you're hiring your employees, bringing in the right people will help your business flourish. So, and then once you've defined these needs, you should be able to write a compelling job listing. Now, I don't know how much experience everyone has in job listings, but make sure your job listing completely describes your company and the position you're hiring. This is where you can really wow a potential candidate in writing and set the position expectation. So I came across an eye-catching listing on Indeed recently, and now my recently is it's been a couple months. So it said, I'm going to read it to you because it's a little bit long, but it starts out with beer lover wanted. And it's the Growler guys in Coeur d'Alene, if anybody's familiar with them. So it says, please read the full ad. If you don't, you won't apply properly and be instantly disregarded. So it starts with the Growler guys is one of Coeur d'Alene's favorite places to get delicious craft beverages. And then it goes in to say, we sell craft beer, cider, kombucha, growlers, cans and pints, plus we have delicious pizza, etc. This is a fun, fast-paced business that needs someone with charisma and excellent work ethic. So please, please keep in mind, bartending background is not necessary, but what we're truly after are outgoing people who are ready to learn and maintain our unique customer service level. So in bold, they say we're currently looking for an employee who is able to predominantly work days, and it gives you 10:30 to 4 p.m., as well as required alternating weekends shifts. So it says, please respond only if you are interested in serving people, able to work in a fast-paced environment, able to efficiently multitask, have an outgoing personality, passion or strong interest in craft beer, and it goes on, gives your little list. And then we're looking for people to wow us and really stand out from the crowd. So please send your resume and include in the cover letter section an interesting fact about yourself or whatever else you think will make you stand out. If you send just a resume, it will not be read. So their job description really goes through their whole list. I mean, so they should be hiring exactly what they want. And there are loads of examples out there. So take the time to put together a quality job listing, and you'll improve your applicant pool significantly. And what you're trying to do is have choices, really. So, okay, next, let's focus on the right sources. So when you're hiring an employee, what sources have you used in the past? Do you use an online form? Anybody have something to share on that? Where are you finding your good candidates? Anybody? We're not finding any good candidates? That may not be good.
Well, we've got LinkedIn, the labor department.
LinkedIn, okay. Those are 2 places to go.
Yep, online, word of mouth, and university boards.
All right. So the current top 5 job sites are Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, Google for Jobs, and Facebook. So if you're using any of those, you're right in with the times. But it depends on who you're trying to hire. So other sources are newspapers, professional publication ads, labor departments in there, a staffing agency. So if you're just looking for seasonal or temporary help and you don't want to deal with setting up payroll, etc., a temp from a staffing company may be your answer. So there's the college placement offices that you can post a listing. There's college fairs. There's other things. It depends on how much hiring you need to be done. So there's many sources available, so you just determine which ones best meet your needs, basically, is where we're at. So, whoops. That wasn't the button I wanted. All right, now we get to the interview process. So we have applications from the candidates along with resumes and a questionnaire that you may have. So having each candidate complete an application gives you the same information from everyone, whereas resumes can all be different. So a lot of candidates think that it's duplicative to have to fill out an application. However, the resumes don't give you the same information. So it's important also to have a planned evaluation method. This will ensure consistent treatment and avoid pitfalls. So then develop a set of insightful questions that may include how to handle certain customer situations, and elicit information that compares the candidate to the performance-based criteria that you've developed. For example, so if you have this, I'm going to go to my sales background here, but a sales employee may need to have 25 sales order a month in their first quarter when they're starting with a company, and then 50 each month for the second quarter and the third quarter, etc. So your question may be, what have they done in the past to ensure incremental sales growth? And what is their sales strategy to grow their business? So seek examples of specific behaviors that are deemed critical for success, such as how do they handle a customer crisis? And feel free to give real life scenarios. So I have my niece works for one of the Capone's restaurants, and she had a customer the other night, ordered a salad without onions. She forgot to write it on the ticket. So the customer was upset, she apologized, she had the salad remade. He refused the second salad, claiming they had just picked all the onions out. And she stated, that wasn't possible because the onions were too small. However, she went and had a third salad made. So he was condescending. He was yelling at her to the point that her other tables were telling her how sorry they were that he was behaving so badly. So moral of the story was she never got upset. She simply gave the customer what they requested, even when they were wrong. Now, there's not a lot of people that would handle that situation, the same way. And sometimes it takes some experience, unfortunately, of dealing with those kind of customers. But she did, in the end, diffuse the situation, and the customer was fine when they left. But that's a different skill set. So if you're looking for that specifically, it's good to have that conversation with people. And even in a home warranty business, it's common for sales reps to have a real estate agent that gets irate over certain issues. So if they've forgotten to place a home warranty on a home that they've just sold, and now their customer has an air conditioning problem, of course, the customer is going to come back to the real estate agent upset because they don't have a warranty. So the real estate agent comes and yells at the the sales rep for the home warranty company instead of taking responsibility, and then they want them to fix it. So these are normal customer situations which we don't like, but people get upset when it comes down to certain things. So anyway, newer sales reps, of course, were always more intimidated than seasoned sales reps, but giving real life scenarios to the people you're hiring is really helpful. And then also ask open questions and then wait. When you ask people to explain things to you, they often reveal surprising mental models, problem-solving strategies, their hopes, their fears, and much more sometimes than you want, but you get a lot of information about an individual. And if they're gonna work with you, you have to get that relationship started anyway. So you can ask things like, what accomplishments are you particularly proud of? And how would you describe yourself? So, I mean, what kind of questions have any of you asked a candidate in the past that you feel is a good question? Anything you put in chat? I feel like I need to have a clock that does a little music tick down. Anything?
Nothing yet, Kathy. But yeah, I'm right. We should have a Jeopardy. The ding, ding.
Yeah, that's what that's what I was going for. A little something to come through, but.
Oh, here we go. So tell me about your biggest professional home runs and conversely, their failures.
Okay, yeah, there's a popular one to go for big things. And hopefully there was an article I read recently, and I can have it go out after this session, but it was on asking some questions, and not just like your biggest, I don't know if I'm going to even get this right, but they actually gave a list of questions out in advance for people to prepare for to come in. But anyway, I'll send out that article if anybody's interested, but it has some different questions to be asking that they found to be very helpful. All
so
right.
we had a couple others, Kathy, that
Yes.
I'll go ahead and share.
Okay.
So where do you want to see yourself in our company in the next 5 years?
Okay.
And then tell me about a time when you've had to handle a behavior management issue, and how did you handle it? What was the end result? How did you help the child? And
Okay,
then, how do you handle a disagreement with a fellow employee?
Okay, very good. And what was your first one you mentioned, Jamie? Sorry.
So that was, where do you want to see yourself in our company in the next 5 years?
Oh, and okay, so that reminds me, they did ask what the employee knows about the company. So before they've come in for an interview, hopefully they've Googled and found some information, because that just tells it they're interested in the position. All right, so good ones. So then next, you're going to set your communication type. So are you going to be doing email or telephone, basically to communicate with your employee? Are your interviews going to be done via the phone? And I'd only recommend the phone for pre-screening. Nothing replaces an in-person interview, but Zoom can be a close second, because clearly we're on Zoom now. So next, legal questions. Can you perform this job with reasonable accommodations? These are standard legal questions. Are you eligible to work in the US? They can also be on the employment application, which is another good reason why to have everybody fill out that employment application. And then you have the same information on each employee. And then again, a reminder, employees talk about everything from how they were hired to how they're paid. So transparency and consistency is key to avoid any problems, that you don't have to, so that you're not constantly putting out fires, because that's really what ends up happening. So, and it ends up being bad for employee morale in addition, which is not something that you need to go throughout your business. It's infectious. So, if you have an opening for a professional level position, like an attorney or a CPA or something, or a senior position in your organization, you may also want to consider using a service like a Real Talent Hiring type of, and I think that's actually the name of the company, Real Talent Hiring. So they use hiring metrics to kind of determine how the employee will fit into your culture, and they're really good at being able to place employees, correct the first time. All right, so next, a recruitment plan. So this is an example of a recruitment plan. It's a betterteam.com. There are lots of them out there. This is just a free one, and Jamie will put it up in the chat for you if you want to copy it from there. but it's just something to help you with your employee recruitment. Oh, my screen doesn't want to work. All right, so we talked about developing a process to hire winners. And now we're going to work on creating an orientation and training plan. So your orientation plan. So make sure you're ready for your new employee. Nothing's worse than showing up for a new job and no one knows what to do with you. So is their workspace set up? You know, if it's applicable, do they have email? Do they have desk supplies? You know, where's the copy machine, the printer, the coffee room? Give them a tour, have their workstation prepared. You know, and if they need to, sorry, what did I lose? Oh, to shadow someone, I'm sorry, make those introductions. Having a mentor at work is a really positive way to start new employees. So your HR can meet with them and clarify policies if there's vacation, time off, etc. If you also work as HR, then you're meeting with them. But make sure to check in with them after their first day. So that's really important. So for any new employees that we had brought in, if it wasn't the call center, because they're already on site, the sales reps, we'd fly them into the office and they had an agenda. They needed to meet with all the different department managers. They need to learn about the company. They got to sit in the call center and listen to calls. They learned the ins and outs of their sales reports, payroll, expense reporting. They needed the requirements of expense reporting if they wanted to be reimbursed. So that was important. Deadlines. You know, they met with their HR to review their pay information, their benefits. And then if you have a lot of information or even a little, a prepared folder is always really nice to give an employee. So putting that best foot forward pays dividends in the future. All right, so your training plan. Are you going to have them shadow another employee? Do they have a training class to attend? What do they need to know to do their job properly? So if it's, again, I'll go back to my sales. Sorry, I'll have to find another example for my next one. But our salespeople participated in ride-alongs with the sales manager, basically, so that they could get the feel for their territory. And sometimes they went with other sales reps as well. And they got to have just hands-on job training that way, which was awesome. So our call center employees had 2 weeks of classroom training. They graduated to the floor after passing their training exam. Then they had mentors on the floor. They were assigned easier calls in the beginning because we had skill-based routing. And then off they went, basically. It's a bit oversimplified, but I think you get the gist of what the process is. All right, position the employee for success. You want to keep them once you have them in the door. So spend a little bit of time on that. All right, so we've covered our first 2 bullet points, and now having clear performance expectations is really important. So your employee goals are SMART. So they're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, relevant to the business, and then time bound. So what type of employee or performance expectations would any of you have for an employee? Can somebody tell me what you use at your current company? You need to be able to see the chat typing. Got some, Jamie?
Not yet. I think there's usually a little bit of a delay, Kathy. So that's
Sorry, maybe yeah. I do need that little tick clock.
it's
Go for
okay.
background music.
So Office of Child Care rules and regulations, as well as best practices in the field and dependent on quality of program.
Okay, good. All right, so then also performance reviews. I don't know how often people do performance reviews, but stick to a regular schedule. So it's common to do a 90-day review on a new employee and then an annual review. So if you're not giving your employee constant feedback, this review process is even that much more important. All right, so for your performance reviews, this is just a sample template. Again, you know, a free one that's out on the web. That's something you can look for. There are several websites that offer free templates, so you're welcome clearly to search the web and find one that works best for you. A one-page one is always nice. You don't have to go into a whole lot of detail. And then if you're dealing with a management level employee, a lot of times it's good to have them do a self-review. And then you can discuss it with them and go through the different areas. And they can also do their goal setting for the next year. That way there's buy-in from both sides, and there's more ownership to what they need to do in their job role. Okay, so we've talked about process to hire winners, creating your orientation and training plan, and then your performance expectations. So how do you keep those employees once you have them in your room? So definitely don't sit back and drink coffee, because that's not going to help you in the long run. So yeah, success. Everyone else is doing all the work. Well, we know that's never possible as a business owner, but we'd like to think it that way. So people management is essential for your business to thrive. So you have to keep in contact with your employees and have that constant, just those constant conversations and touch points, and know what's going on in your business. So common pitfalls. You know, many employees can just punch the clock. So you can have a fear of losing top performers that deliver the most profit. There may be morale issues. This usually translates to poor customer service, which hurts your brand, basically your business brand. So you don't want that to happen. A bad attitude can be infectious to a whole team. So if you can address it and talk to that employee and figure out what's going on and diffuse it, the earlier, the better. So these are common challenges for businesses to overcome. But what drives these behaviors? So reasons employees leave goes far deeper than a paycheck. So these are the top 7 reasons that we'll go through. So number 1, the job or workplace is not as expected. So hopefully in your job description, you've put that together well, or in the conversations with the employee. The job doesn't fit employees' talents and interests. You know, the employee receives little or no feedback or coaching. The employee has no hope for career growth. They feel devalued, unrecognized, overworked, or stressed. And the employee has no trust or confidence in leaders. So these are all things that can be dealt with on a fairly easy basis, but you have to just be consistent and make sure that you're in contact with your employees. So what motivates people? I'd like to tell you if I could get this to work. So meaningful work, clear expectations, communications both directions, so that they feel comfortable coming to you and you definitely communicate with them. Job satisfaction. Are they a team member? How healthy is your culture? If you're not comfortable at work, your employee is not going to be comfortable at work. So stay in tune with that. And acknowledgement. When you catch an employee doing something well, make sure you acknowledge it. It's just a really big seller with employees, and it just pays dividends, because that acknowledgement, then they start doing a peer-to-peer acknowledgement. So next, when nobody's going to have time to do this, so I'm going to ask you to make time to do this. This is a TED Talk, and it's on the puzzle of motivation. And basically, it talks a little bit about the little things that can go through, that you can do. But the main thing is he speaks to intrinsic motivation and autonomy, mastery, and purpose specifically. And a little bit about the carrot stick and where you can get stuck with bonuses where they work and where they don't. So it's very interesting to listen to, and it may help you with your motivation on bringing people in-house. So next, employee retention. Sometimes it can be just the little things. So again, the bonus programs can be motivators, but there is science on if-then rewards and when they work and when they don't. So listen to that TED Talk. Company activities can be helpful, volunteering together. If you have some kind of flexible work hours that are available, that's great. Your open door policy, again, communication. Ask for input on operations. So your employees are doing your day-to-day grind work. You may not be involved in that. So they really have an insight into what's going on. So in the summer times, we used to run contests for best ideas to improve the operations that we could actually implement. So we gained quite a bit of perspective from our employees' insight, and we were able to recognize them for great contribution. It just goes, it's miles, gives you miles basically with employees to be able to use their ideas and put them into place. So just something to think about. And then again, we're back to acknowledgement. Catch employees doing something right and recognize them immediately. It becomes a habit once you start doing it, and it's very easy to do. So another employee program that we had implemented at one time was called Caught in the Act. And it was a recognition program that was a peer-to-peer. So employees were encouraged to complete a form when they caught a peer providing exceptional service. And then they go in for a drawing, and it could be lunch or something else, or even just recognition on a weekly meeting with your employees, that these, just make sure that your employees know that they were seen going above and beyond. So back to, it's acknowledging all of their contributions, super important. And celebrate birthdays and recognize company anniversaries. Those are other areas that are important as well. Okay, so company culture is very important. So now I have more homework for you. Be the homework. Another link that Jamie will put in the chat for me. But this is a science of happiness and how to build a magnetic company culture. It's a great article. So as a small business owner, you can't always compete on pay, but you can definitely compete on culture. So play to your strengths. And also was discussing earlier with Jamie, we spend a lot of time as business owners building our company brand, basically, our products and services for our customers to be able to track them. But we don't spend a lot building our employer brand. So how are we looked at as an employer, and why do employees want to come work for us? So it's just another thing to think about when you're running your business. All right, disciplining employees. So definitely our least favorite thing to do. However, do not procrastinate. No one likes to do this. So it's just very important to get it done. So use a progressive discipline approach. So start with a verbal discussion. If no change, then you can do a written improvement plan. You can have a supervisor document progress, but make sure to have clearly communicated consequences. Always err on the side of over communications. An employee should never be surprised when their employment ends due to performance issues. It always should have been communicated very clearly. And when you're ending an employment relationship, resignations should be in writing. And any time that you can do an exit interview, please do one. It's a great way to find insight to what's going on. And if it needs to be something done by someone other than yourself because you don't feel that they can be, an employee can be open with you, then certainly designate another individual to do it. If you're having to do a reduction in workforce, make sure you let your employees know in advance. Just communicate as soon as possible. It's not good to surprise employees. They need to understand what's going on. And then if there's termination for cause, those happen as well. But always treat your employees with respect. They're the ones on the front line, and they're important to your business. All right, so next, Society for Human Resources. Does anybody know about this organization, or do they utilize any of their services? If you do, put a yes or no, if you can. But so SHRM is basically, they have a lot to offer small businesses. So they have tons of resources to save whomever manages the HR function time and money as they strive to stay compliant and create a great workplace. So they have an Ask an Advisor service. They offer personalized advice on specific HR questions or challenges, how-to guides, sample policies, job descriptions, and interview questions and more. So members get discounts on all kinds of things in HR, labor, law, posters, etc., which hopefully everyone has posted at work. It's, sorry, this is not an advertisement for them. However, they are great research for you. They run about $219 a year. I would just encourage you to check it out and see if that works for your business. So, okay, we're in the home stretch here. Hopefully everybody's still with me. So, hiring and leading winners. It looks so easy, but why do most people fail? Well, I like to say they don't have a process. So what is a process? It's a way to accomplish the same results repeatedly, and that is what we're trying to do. All right, so we've covered your developing a process to hire winners, creating your orientation and training plan, having clear performance expectations, and then how to retain those excellent employees. Does anyone have any questions on what we've gone through today? So I'm definitely going to say, don't forget to listen to your TED Talk and access the links that are provided. They will all help you with your hiring and retaining plan. And hopefully keep you from having some stumbling blocks. So, any questions, Jamie?
Just a question about the PowerPoint, and yes, they will be shared with you afterwards. So you'll get an email with those included.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll be around for a little while, but I want to thank everyone for attending this webinar. Appreciate it. Just want to let you know that the Idaho SBDC, we provide the no-cost business coaching, affordable workshops, and resources for all businesses. And we're here as a resource for you. So please don't hesitate to reach out and contact us with any of your questions or concerns you might have. And then in addition, if you would please complete our online survey, it's really important for us to know how we can best help you. So thank you all very much. I hope you have a great day. And I'll still stick around if there's any questions.